All right, we're going to pull back for just a moment. We have an opportunity to talk with Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of the great state of Ohio, House Judiciary Committee Chairman. Chairman Jordan, great to have you today. I hope that you were able to listen, and I want to get to the operation that's going on in your state for just a moment. But your reaction, I mean, some of those details about children were really jarring.
No, they sure were. And God bless Border Patrol agents and Immigration Customs Enforcement agents who are out there, as Mr. Bavino said, taking bad guys off the street who, oh, by the way, also happen to be in our country illegally. And they're doing it under the toughest of circumstances. I mean, they're being doxxed, they're being tracked, they're being spit on, they're being attacked with shovels and broomsticks, as that example up in Minnesota, interfered with as they try to enforce federal law. And it's being, some of that's just being agged on and encouraged by people like Governor Walz and Mayor Frey up in Minnesota. So the circumstances, the situation where they're doing the Lord's work is really difficult. The harassment we see time and time again. But it's, if you interfere with the enforcement of federal law from federal agents, that's a problem. And that's why the Justice Department is appropriately looking into many of these matters.
Look, he really went head on with the criticism right now involving a 5-year-old. And he said, you know, you're looking at a situation where we took a child to be with his father because the father is here illegally. And whatever the legal circumstances that will play out, the father wanted the child with him. They kept them together. Sure. But he said, you know what? Here's an example of where he just thinks that that's a double standard and it's disingenuous in terms of all the concern. So what about Rachel Moran's children, the 5 that mother who was killed by an illegal alien violent here in the country? Your thoughts?
No, exactly right. And again, President Trump ran on this issue. He said, we're going to secure the border, which he did. In fact, no president does better job of doing what he said than President Trump. So we secured the border, and he said, we're going to go get the bad guys who came into this country illegally and did bad things that have huge and lasting impacts on families, these angel moms and everything else. We're going to go get those guys and get them off the street. And that's exactly what they're doing. And the left says, wait a minute, we don't like that. Well, the rest of the country does. So let's, I keep saying these agents are enforcing the law, and while they're doing that, they're being doxxed, tracked, spit on, harassed, interfered with.
Congressman Jordan,
that is a problem.
I'm hoping you can stand by for just a second. They're actually at the presser talking about that 5-year-old. Let's watch together.
Border Patrol and our allied partners. The media doesn't know our officers, we do. My officers do the right thing no matter how difficult or how long it takes throughout the day. Let me debunk a couple more lies. Conejo Arias was not walking to school with his child, and we did not target the child. Arias fled from law enforcement officers and left his child behind. Again, middle of winter in a car. We will enforce the law as it's written, but we will go above and beyond to reunite families because that is who we are. I also want to clarify the recent arrests of the ringleaders of the city's church riots. Federal law protects the freedom of religion and the right to worship without interference. What these agitators did was not a peaceful protest. They rioted at church services. They screamed and harassed children. They denied Minnesotans the ability to worship peacefully. Again, this was not a peaceful protest. You don't go in front of up to a child and yell at them. That is not a peaceful protest. I've been in law enforcement for 33 years now, and this is the first time I've ever seen a protest in a church where they're harassing individuals trying to peacefully worship. It's disturbing to know that these individuals would target sacred spaces and viciously harass innocent families. Sacred spaces must be respected. While I cannot speak to ongoing investigations and prosecutions, I can say that ICE, DHS, and the Department of Justice are wholly committed to maintaining public safety and the rule of law. That is why we are here today. I am calling on everyone, politicians, the media, and activists, to put an end to the dangerous, irresponsible rhetoric once and for all. You are pitting communities against federal law enforcement, and you are pitting neighbor against neighbor in Minnesota. This is why I'm up here almost every day, to show you the good work my officers are doing. This is the same reason that Chief Bovino is up here every day. The public needs to know about the dangerous criminal illegal aliens we're arresting. They need to see the faces of the monsters that these agitators are trying to protect. Yesterday, we arrested the following individuals. Jose Ocampo Leon, a criminal illegal alien from Mexico, convicted of sexual conduct with a child under 16. Also up on these. Gerardo Sanchez Acuna, a criminal illegal alien convicted of drug trafficking. Salvador Salazar Rivera, a criminal illegal alien from Mexico convicted of violent domestic assault that inflicted bodily injury on his spouse. These are not the people that you want living next door to you. Rudy Pineda Aguilar, a criminal illegal alien from Guatemala convicted of criminal sexual conduct. Not the people you want living by your schools. And finally, Jeffrey Ramon Rabanales, a criminal illegal alien from Guatemala convicted of assault, domestic assault, and damage to property. These are the people that those protesters and agitators are trying to protect. We have the photo.
All right, again, we're going to pull back. We'll go back as the news warrants there, but I want to bring back Chairman Jim Jordan now. We have just a couple more minutes with him. And sure. Just first of all, I want to touch on not just the children who were just mentioned there, but there was one example that Greg Bovino gave early on about a little boy that they had to help wake up. They think drugs got into his system. He had a non-surgical suture. I mean, it seemed like there were drugs. He was a mule and that they'd been hiding drugs inside of him. I mean, Chairman.
It's so sad.
These are nightmares.
So sad. And yet the left wants to disrupt a church service because they don't want ICE agents to get bad guys off the street who did things to that little kid. That is just ridiculous. And again, I think the country understands it. The country supports enforcing the law, doing it in the right way, like Mr. Bovino said they were doing. But yeah, this is how crazy. And I want to go back to one thing, too. Remember, as Americans, we have 5 fundamental liberties under the First Amendment. Right to practice your faith, right to petition the government, a free press, free speech, right to assemble, 5 fundamental liberties. But the first one mentioned is your right to practice your faith, to go to church and worship. And the left is so crazy, they're going after the very first right mentioned in the First Amendment to our great Constitution. That is how sick this all is, for simply the Border Patrol and ICE enforcing the law.
Now, I want to ask you about your state. Operation Buckeye in Ohio will be centered around Columbus and surrounding areas. What kind of feedback are you getting already from your constituents? Are there any sort of preamble things that you as a leader in your state are wanting to see happen?
This is about enforcing the law in Ohio, just like in Minnesota, just like across the country, and frankly, seeing if there's any type of similar fraud going on here. I think it's a very good that the Trump administration, that President Trump has said at the Department of Justice, they're going to have a specific individual who is going to be focused on the fraud issue that we saw in Minnesota and any other things that stem from that. So I think this is appropriate. I mean, this is a proper way, the fair way, the right way to treat taxpayer resources. We know what happened in Minnesota. There are some estimates as much as $9 billion that they took in your viewers' tax money, our constituents' tax money that used for all kinds of crazy things. When they were supposed to be feeding kids, as an example, up in Minnesota, they were just stuffing the money in their pockets. So this is, I think, entirely appropriate, and God bless President Trump for having the Justice Department designate someone as the point person for this entire effort.
Chairman Jordan, a lot to get to today. I'm so glad that you were with me on this breaking news. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. You bet. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.